a crazy thing. So me and Crafty are going to talk about that. Heat,
Yes.
Celtics.
The Heat and Celtics specifically, because the other round of the Lakers and Clippers has not officially been announced.
Yeah, not yet. It will be soon. Give it a few days.
I give it, a few days.
All right. So the Heat and the Celtics will be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, playing for a bid to the NBA championship. What do you think about this matchup here, Crafty?
Okay, so I'm going to just start off with my prediction. I think it's going to go Celtics in 6.
Celtics in 6.
I think the Celtics can win an NBA championship. I mean, not an NBA. They can win an Eastern Conference championship in 6 games against the Heat. And I have a couple reasons for it, but I want to hear your prediction first.
I'm going Celtics. I agree with you 100%. Celtics in 6. I said that on my radio broadcast a week ago, and I'm sticking to it. I actually also called Celtics in 6 against the Raptors. So maybe I need to change this to Celtics in 7. Because I predicted Celtics in 6 against the Raptors. We didn't see 6 games against the Raptors. Actually, you know what? Celtics in 5.
Celtics in 5?
Celtics in 5.
You think it'll be a gentleman's sweep?
I think Celtics will beat them in 5 games. I think the Celtics come out and take game 1, Heat take game 2, and the Celtics go 3, 4, 5.
Okay, I can understand that. So let's talk about the Heat first. What kind of advantages do you think the Heat have against the Celtics? Because obviously they have some things above them.
All right, the Heat have seen the Celtics one time in the bubble. They won that game 112-106. So I think the Heat right now, they're coming off a 5-1 or 4-1 game 5 win over the Bucks. They swept the Pacers. So they are hot right now. They are on fire.
The Heat are on fire. Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? I actually got to see a Heat Celtics game this year.
Oh, yeah.
I was down in Miami for the Super Bowl, and I was able to see the Celtics beat the Heat 109-101 on their home floor.
On the home floor.
So,
yeah, I remember that game. That was a good game.
The Celtics have had the Heat's number this year. They also beat them 112-93 on the Celtics home floor. So,
because you don't beat the Celtics in the Garden, that doesn't happen.
It's tough. It's a tough place to play. Those Boston fans are crazy there.
So my thing with the Heat is they have got an amazing set of players together. They have Jimmy Butler, who is a great wing defender. He's inconsistent on offense when it comes to scoring, but he makes up for that in his defense and his leadership. But then we got Tyler Herro, who is just a sniper from 3. Bam Adebayo is a two-way. He's offense, defense, whatever you need him to do. He was in the running for most improved player, and he's an NBA All-Star as well. And then you got Duncan Robinson, another sniper, Goran Dragic, Andre Iguodala, which is a good veteran presence, and Kendrick Nunn. There were some other guys in there. But obviously, those are like the big people that, the Celtics are going to have to worry about. But so I see a problem and a great thing in what I just said. The problem is they don't have a clear offensive star. There's none of those guys is going to go down there and be the one to take the bucket, which is a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing is it's not going to draw double teams. Everyone's going to be playing man on man. The problem with that is, once again, no one's going to be doing double teams, making it you have to play man on man. So if the Celtics can play man on man defense perfectly, then
that's something they are good at.
Yes, it's something that
they have Marcus Smart, who's not good on offense, but one of the best defenders in the league.
Absolutely.
Hayward's gonna be back around game 2,
and he's like a mediocre defender.
No, he's better defending than he is on offense.
Oh, most definitely better than he is on offense. He's just seen better days.
Yeah, he definitely has seen better days. Kemba's been hot on defense lately.
Not offense, but
not offense. We're talking about the defense right now here for the Celtics.
Yes.
Tatum and Brown are both people you can't mess with on defense either.
Right. They're not someone that you're going to be like, oh, they're defensive first team, but they're definitely someone that you have to watch yourself when you're playing against.
The only hole I see on this whole Celtics defense right now is at the center position.
I was about to say that. Their center position is defensively not
They have Cantor and they have Williams.
Right, and Daniel Tice
switches. And Tice.
He is a good defender.
He is.
But they can't keep him in the whole game. So
No.
when they take him out, there's a huge hole defensive-wise, which is where Bam Adebayo, I feel like, could eat the Celtics up.
But that's one player.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm like,
Yeah.
like I said, the Celtics are probably going to win the series in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But when Daniel Tice is on the floor, Bam Adebayo is he's going to be the one with the ball in his hands. And in that case, I could see the Celtics maybe needing to draw a double team.
With Tice on the floor, I don't think Adebayo is going to be doing as good. When Tice is off the floor,
it's going to
be with him having the ball. But Williams has been a solid defender these playoffs.
Yes, Grant Williams has been playing above his normal in the playoffs.
He has been putting up good points. He's played in the clutch. Game 7, he got the offensive rebound to ice the game.
Absolutely. I feel like he's one of the more underrated players in the league.
All right, we talked about the Heat. Let's switch it over to the Celtics here.
Oh, God, the Celtics. What is there not to say about them? So, for starters, Jason Tatum was playing like he was in his rookie year in the playoffs, but better. And if you know anything about that rookie year, they were nuts. They were insane. And they lost Kyrie Irving and still made it pretty far into the playoffs. I believe it was the conference finals, but I don't want to say that and be wrong. But they went off against LeBron and gave LeBron a run for his money.
Game 7.
It was, yes, Game 7. I remember watching that game. It was a crazy game. Don't ever dunk on LeBron James. But in that series, we saw a Celtics team, which is a similar roster, not the same, but very similar roster, take the King LeBron James to 7 games. With their leader being Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown wasn't fully developed. Jason Tatum wasn't fully developed, and they didn't have their star point guard. And that's LeBron. This is completely different squad we're playing against. It's a team that is a lot less athletic than the team they were playing, and a team that relies on the three-point jump shot, which the Celtics are notorious for being able to defend the three-point very well. So I don't see a lot of holes in the Celtics other than their center position. And if they can just figure something out, which I'm sure Brad Stevens, who is an amazing coach, can figure out, it's going to be too easy for him. That's why I think it won't even go to Game 7. I'm saying 6.
That's why I'm saying 5. And you mentioned Kyrie being out when they took LeBron to Game 7.
Right.
Now they have Kemba. Your cheap man's Kyrie Irving, in my opinion.
Yeah, minus the dribble moves.
That's why I said cheap man's. He's good. He's a solid player. He fits his role with the Celtics. Honestly, in my opinion, he fits the role better than Kyrie does.
Oh, absolutely. Kyrie was too ball dominant.
Kemba is actually, in my opinion, an upgrade over Kyrie for the Celtics on how they play.
Right. Not player-wise. Like, not if you're saying who's a better player, but
yeah,
who
not
fits
player-wise,
the Celtics better, it's definitely Kemba.
But Kemba fits into that Celtics formation, that role play where he needs to play a lot better than Kyrie did.
Yeah, so the reason that I definitely believe that is if you look back at the roster they had when they had Kyrie Irving, they had a starting lineup of Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, probably could switch the 2 around, obviously, and then Al Horford at center.
Al Horford was gone last year.
Well, I wasn't talking about last year.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about when they had Kyrie.
They had Kyrie last year before he got hurt.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, specifically talking about the
2 years ago.
The team that took LeBron to Game 7 when he was still in Cleveland.
That was last year.
That was 2 years ago. LeBron was on the Lakers last year.
Yes, he was. You're right.
So the problem with that entire starting lineup, even though I totally just forgot whoever played power forward for him, the problem with
that was Tatum, because Smart was shooting guard.
Okay, so the problem with every player I named other than Marcus Smart is every single player on that roster was ball dominant. Jason Tatum's ball dominant. Jaylen Brown is ball dominant. Kyrie Irving is ball dominant. Al Horford is even ball dominant. And there's nothing wrong with being a ball dominant player, but you cannot have 4 of those guys in the same lineup.
And Marcus Smart likes to hack up threes that he will miss.
Exactly. So the problem with that lineup is the fact that everyone was ball dominant. Everyone needed the ball in their hands. And the weird thing about that season is whenever they were missing just one of those players, either Kyrie Irving or Al Horford, their plus-minus was better and their record was better. Just one ball-dominant player being gone made that team better, which is why I think Kemba is such a great fit for them because he's not that ball-dominant.
He is not.
So, I could definitely see them beating the Heat. I think it could go 7. I doubt it will, but I wouldn't be surprised with how the Heat have been playing. I mean, they haven't gone past 5 games, and they were playing the MVP of the NBA, allegedly, probably going to be the MVP of the NBA last series. And they took him down in 5
He was
games.
out He was out for 4 and 5.
Yes. I mean, they knew they lost at that point.
Yeah, it was over at that point.
It's in the Heat. The way they play is an amazing way of team ball. They are undoubtedly one of the best team basketball players, and whatever I'm trying to say, they play the best team ball is what I meant. And with the match of Eric Spoelstra, who's a great coach, I could definitely see them putting up a fight. But with Boston's ability to have a young core that they have, the young core can hurt and help them. But this season, it seems like it's helping them more than anything. I mean, they swept the 76ers and they took Toronto to Game 7. The former NBA championship team took them to 7 games. So I'm still saying Boston in 6 or 7.
All right. You know what I actually just realized? It's really funny. I went to 2 Celtics games this year.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I went to was in TD Garden.
Yeah.
And they lost to the Raptors.
And
the second one I went to was in Miami, and the Celtics beat the Heat.
Wow.
So I saw the last 2 matchups now that the Celtics are playing in.
But in the regular season.
In the regular season before the bubble happened.
Yeah.
But segueing off of what you were talking about there, if the Heat want to win the series, what do they have to do? What are their keys to success here?
Okay, their keys to success are honestly keep playing the way that they are playing because it's working. They're going to have to switch up a little bit for the Celtics. I would say run the offense a little more through Bam Adebayo than, say, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Kendrick Nunn, or Tyler Hero. And if they can find a hole in the Celtics system and abuse that hole for the first 2 games just to gain momentum until that hole is patched up, if you can get the first 2 games in a row, I can almost guarantee you win a series. Now, the thing is that I see, though, a problem for the Celtics is they just went to Game 7. And as amazing as it is, the momentum you can get off of a Game 7, it also can drain you because you just played 7 basketball games.
Especially with Game 6 going to double OT.
Right. So they're tired. They get 3 days rest while the Heat are getting a week. They get a full week to rest. So I could definitely see if they just play also high energy basketball, quick pace. The Celtics are not going to be able to jump right back into the rhythm. They just got past the Game 7. And that Game 7 was not very high scoring. If the Heat can put up a high scoring game as well, I could see it being a problem for the Celtics.
See, I think the Heat need to stay hot. If the Heat need to win this, they need to stay hot. They can't cool down and they're 7 days off.
Right.
They have to live by the 3 or die by the 3 in this series.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics have that perimeter defense, but if the Heat want to prevail, they are going to have to live by that 3-pointer.
Yes. And
they have sharpshooters all over the place on that roster.
Absolutely, and they're all really young.
So I could see the Heat, if they are to win, it's going to be them jacking up 3s the entire game.
Okay, so what do you think the Boston's key to success would be then?
Perimeter defense and Kemba learning how to score.
Okay, so you think that the key to success here is going to – Kemba needs to actually score the basketball.
If Kemba can start scoring, the Heat don't have a chance.
Yeah, because then everybody on that that 5-man roster you're scared of because they're going to score it.
Yeah, you like you said with the Heat, you can't double cover any of them because they all can score.
Right.
The Celtics are that, but better.
Yeah, I would argue though that the Celtics do have that player that you almost always know it's going to. Either it's Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown.
But you have to double one of them. But
right, you have to double.
You double one of them, then you leave one open, and that one open is a scorer. Marcus Smart, like I said earlier, he'll hack up 3s that he's gonna miss. He's not been missing.
Oh yeah, recently
against the Raptors, he has been on fire.
I forget what game it is. I'm gonna see if I can look it up real quick. But there was a game where he hit 5 for 5 from 3.
It was Game 5. Game 5 or Game 6. He started off with that.
It was insane. You don't expect him to do that kind of thing. It was Game 5. He shot 6 for 11 from 3. If Marcus Smart hits 6 3-pointers on you, you are in really big trouble.
And thing about Smart, if there's a last-second shot being taken by the Celtics, I would want the ball in his hands.
You would?
He, for some reason, hits those last-second shots like they're nothing.
Okay.
Throughout his career, he's been from 3. I think it was like 2 years ago, he had the lowest career 3-point percentage after taking like a certain amount of attempts in the Celtics history.
I'm assuming we're talking about. I have the stat pulled up. I'm assuming we're talking about either 2015 or 2016 when he shot 25% and 28%.
Yeah. He had at one point during his career with the Celtics, he had the lowest career 3-point shooting ever for the Celtics. And that franchise is
Right.
is the longest franchise in the NBA. It's one of the original teams, if I'm not wrong. So being that long as a team to have a guy who's playing right now with the lowest 3-point percentage ever, but clutch when it comes to hitting those late game threes when they actually matter.
Right. And his defense, if someone else is taking the last shot. Marcus Smart, the thing that I love about Marcus Smart is he is more annoying when it comes to late game situations than Patrick Beverley. Like he'll get in your head. He won't leave you alone.
The only guy I'd say is better at that is Draymond Green.
Draymond Green's really good at making people very angry.
Draymond Green is the best in the league at that. Marcus Smart is second.
Yeah, Marcus Smart is a very similar player to Draymond Green in the sense that if you take Marcus Smart off the Celtics, you don't have a good Celtics team. You take Draymond Green off of that.
I think you still have a good Celtics team.
He's the player that you know is going to be high energy even if you guys are down.
Because I remember last season when we still had Rozier on the Celtics.
No, I love Terry Rozier.
He would start sometimes over Smart. So it was like a platoon system between Rozier and Smart.
Right. And I'm not even just saying he needs to be a starter. I'm saying that if you take it's very similar that if you take Draymond Green off of the championship Warriors teams, I don't think they're winning the championship. Because you have that player that brings the energy. Draymond Green was by no means the best player on those teams.
Oh, no.
But I think he was the most important player. And I think it's very similar with the Celtics where you know that if something happens where you guys are down and everyone's, and they're in the huddle and they're like stressing over it, Marcus Smart's going to be the guy that's like high energy, like, what are you guys doing? We have to go out here and make the shot. Let's go make the shot. We're leaving out of here winners. He's the heart of the team is what I put it.
I agree.
By no means one of the best players on the team when it comes to offense, but he is the heart of that team.
Another key here for the Celtics, in my opinion, is how will Hayward come back?
That is such a big thing, too.
They're playing so hot right now without him. You add that piece coming off the bench. The bench has not been hot.
Yeah.
Williams is the only good thing coming off the bench in the entire Raptors series.
Pretty much, yes.
You add Hayward to the equation. Now you have two players who are potentially coming hot off the bench. Granted, Hayward's probably going to leave the bubble again before the finals hit.
Right.
He has a pregnant wife. He has his obligations there.
Right.
He'll come back, supposedly. We'll see on that. But he's planning on playing this series. He is cleared by the doctor on the 16th. Game 1 is on the 15th.
So it looks like he'll probably be back game 2.
However, when that first medical thing was put out, Brad Stevens called it aggressive.
Saying it was too early.
So we will see. He most likely will not dress game 1. He was out there game 7 shooting warm-up shots with the assistant coach. So he's back in the bubble. He's back shooting the basketball. He's just they don't want to risk losing him for another year. Right,
because he is an important part of that team as well. And the thing with Gordon Hayward is when he comes back is I could see it being a great thing or a bad thing. He comes back. He's got a somewhat hot hand. He knows it's the playoffs. He knows it's time to step up. That would be a great best-case scenario. But what I can see being the worst-case scenario is he comes back, not saying he would play bad, but it messes up what the Celtics have now because they already have a system built right now for playing without him. Switching the system could potentially be harmful.
But he would be off the bench.
Right, which this is why I don't think that's too big of a deal, but it could potentially have a couple chemistry problems bringing a player back. But it also could be completely fine. It's really a hit or miss thing.
It'd be a little worse if he was a starter coming back.
Right.
But he's, like I said, he's a bench player now.
Exactly.
Signing him when the Celtics signed him 3 years ago, was it 2-3 years ago?
No, I think it was 3 years ago.
And if I told you that Hayward will be coming off the bench in 2020, what would you believe me?
I would say you're stupid. He was one of the hottest people coming out of that season.
He was. And
And
he
then
signed
he
a
snapped
big
his leg.
contract. Game 1, playing the Cavs, leg snapped.
Pretty sure he was 2
I
minutes
remember it
into
like
his
it was
career.
yesterday.
Yeah, I remember it. I was in here playing my PS4. My dad comes in, he goes, Hayward just got hurt. And I was like,
I was
okay.
at work.
And my dad was like, come watch this replay. And I watched the replay. I was like, oh, he got hurt.
Yeah, I was working at Rapid Fire Pizza at the time.
Oh, you poor soul.
They had good pizza though.
I do.
And he went down, and it was on the TV, so I was actually able to see the TV when it happened.
Mm.
And I was not happy. I was making customers pizza, saw it happen out of the corner of my eye, and
I would have thrown the pizza at him.
I didn't throw the pizza.
Because like that's it, if I put myself in that shoes, that's like, who would I say is comparable? That's like if the Mavericks signed like a Kyle Lowry or something, like a player who's not super amazing but borderline all-star. That's like if we signed them and they got hurt first game. I couldn't imagine the anger I would have.
And you know I'm a Celtics fan, so
Yeah. So I would feel I couldn't understand exactly how it felt, but I'm a Celtics fan after I'm a Mavericks fan. I'm cheering for the Celtics right now through the finals.
are you cheering them for the finals if they make it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a Kevin Garnett Celtics jersey that I got when I was like 6, and I will put it on if I have to.
I actually don't have a Celtics jersey.
Well, I would go buy one before this series.
I have 2 jersey shirts.
Okay, good enough. Good enough.
I have a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown Celtics jersey shirts.
Nice. I got my dad a Kyrie Irving jersey 2 years ago.
I also, though, have a shirt that is a long sleeve Celtics shirt, and down the sleeves on both sides has all the titles the Celtics have won.
Which is a lot.
Both sleeves are filled.
Yeah.
And if they win it all this year, can I still wear that shirt?
Write it in Sharpie.
Write it in Sharpie? Mm-hmm. There's no room on the sleeves. I write it on the back part and start working my way up on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Now, the real conversation here I want to ask you is the Celtics and the Heat, no matter who wins. Could you see either of those teams putting up a fight against the Lakers or the Clippers? Or the Nuggets or Rockets, I guess, since we shouldn't completely throw them out yet.
Yes.
Okay.
If the Heat are to win, they're probably – I hate to say it, but if the Heat are to win, they are probably going to win in 4 or 5 games.
I mean, there's just too much momentum for them. I can't remember the last time.
If they can go through the Celtics in 4 or 5 games, who's going to stop them?
Like, because they're way too hot.
You can't stop a team that right now the Heat are 8-1 in the playoffs.
Mm.
They lost 1 game against the most likely to be MVP.
Right.
1 game.
I just
no team in the West is doing that right now.
Yeah. That's true. No team was able to do that well. But I found a very interesting stat here.
Okay.
So the Heat start off this NBA Finals the 5th seed. In the history of the NBA, no team has ever won as a 5th seed.
Can we put an asterisk by this season, though?
What do you mean?
They're in a bubble.
Yeah, I definitely think there'll be an asterisk for this year. But I'm saying, like, out of the history of the NBA, I'm just saying how irregular this would be. Yeah. No team has ever won the NBA championship as a 5 seed. And no team has ever won as a 7th or 8th. There's been 1 6 seed and 1 4 seed. It is very rare for a team like this to make it.
Celtics, what, they're the 4 seed? They're the 3 seed.
3 seed.
3 seed.
So it's quite.
Is it Lakers 1, Clippers 2, I think, on the West?
Oh, yeah. The Lakers and the Clippers are 1 and 2. It's the Battle of LA next round, more than likely.
More than likely it will be. We can't cut the Nuggets out yet. We can't cut the Rockets out yet either, even though they're down 3-1, and LeBron's never lost a series when he's up 3-1.
I don't like the Rockets, so I hope they get destroyed.
But yeah, I think I saw like LeBron's never lost a series when they were up 2-1 even.
LeBron in the playoffs is a different breed of human.
He doesn't sit the bench.
He doesn't. And then the thing is, Kawhi Leonard, though, when it comes to the Lakers and Clippers when they face off, more than likely, Kawhi
beat
Leonard
him
in
last
the
year.
playoffs. Kawhi in the playoffs is insane as well.
And he beat LeBron last year.
No, LeBron didn't make the playoffs last year.
Oh, wait. Yeah, LeBron didn't. Never mind.
That was 20 in 2014. They played off in the finals, and Kawhi showed him what's up I think he was either a rookie or a second-year player. But LeBron in the playoffs and Kawhi in the playoffs are two people you don't want to mess with. I think the deciding factor is playoff Paul George. Playoff Paul George has nicknames such as PG 13% because him in the playoffs is just sad. I mean, he's been involved in so many game winners that he's trying to guard that it's insane. It's like almost like when he guards someone, it makes them better. So I think that's jumping into, I guess, the next conversation.
Yeah,
the West.
the next one of these when we showcase the Western Conference Finals, followed by a Celtics-Lakers Finals that's not announced yet.
I'd love to see that. That'd be amazing.
That would be actually a cool cap to the year.
Absolutely.
To the NBA season that's had all these ups and downs and shut down and came back in a bubble in Disney World.
And the legend himself, Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant passing away.
Right.
The Lakers have that playing for them as well.
Oh, yeah. No. Like, when LeBron was in Cleveland, they were like, oh, he can't bring a championship to Cleveland. That was LeBron's motivation. He said, bet. LeBron's motivation now is the death of one of his best friends. And
which motivation do you think is bigger?
I definitely think Kobe's death is a much bigger motivation.
You think he's more motivated now than he was when his home city, who had not won the title, in how many years?
Ever.
I'm saying the city in general.
Oh, like I think it was the 1950s or something.
It was like the Indians in the 50s.
Right. I think this year with LeBron, I guess we can cap off the conversation with this. LeBron this year has got, I think, a lot more pressure because, he's got to decline sometime soon. I don't know when LeBron's going to do it, but I'm guessing it's sometime soon. I think this might be his final chance at a championship. Possibly. It's a very hot take, but I think this could be one of –
I have something to say on this when you're done with this. I'll let you finish.
So, last chance on a championship, possibly. And then the city of LA is hurting, and one of the biggest things that could bring them happiness is the Lakers winning the championship. It couldn't care less if the Clippers win, because if the Clippers win, that's not going to make them feel better about the passing of Kobe Bryant, because who cares about the Clippers? Sorry, Clippers fans.
Hey, the Clippers have never in franchise history made it to the Western Finals.
Oh, gosh. Oh, wait. Because here would be
They're
crazy.
Cursed.
What would be crazy, because the Raptors had never made it to the NBA Finals. He took them to the NBA Finals last year. What would be even crazier is if he somehow took the Clippers to the NBA Finals.
All right, but what I was going to say about LeBron James, he's on contract until 2022.
Yes.
Do you know what happens in 2022?
His son is probably more than likely going to get drafted.
His son is first year of eligibility to go into the league.
Possibly.
My prediction with LeBron is he will play. His last season will be in 2022, and whoever drafts Bronny Jr. gets LeBron with Bronny Jr.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I have the same theory. I think whatever team gets the first pick that year is going to be it's going to be a really hot year for people trying to trade for that first pick, because you get LeBron, even though I'm assuming by 2022 he's got to be not great. He's got to be. But they'll know, like, we get LeBron and we get Bronny.
That's going to sell tickets, if anything.
What?
If as a GM or owner of a team, that will sell tickets.
Oh, absolutely. That's a ticket.
Like, no matter what, if LeBron is in his prime or has completely declined at that point and is a washed-up player, don't see that happening of him being washed up.
Right.
It's still, you put LeBron and his son together on the same team, you're selling out every game.
Oh, for sure. I think just having either A, LeBron, or B, his son is, like, either way, you're selling a lot of tickets.
Even if his son pans out or not. That rookie year is going to be his first year. No one's going to know if he's going to pan out or not.
Absolutely. It's it's going to be really crazy in 2022 to be a basketball fan. That's for sure.
It's going to be probably the craziest free agency and offseason that we have seen in a while. And this last one was a pretty crazy one too.
Mm-hmm. So I looked up a stat just because I was curious.
Okay.
And we can see it's a similar effect of whatever team LeBron goes to. With Bronny, I think it'll be a similar effect to Michael Jordan. So when Michael Jordan went to the Wizards, I believe it was the year 2000. And then this graph only shows me from 2001 to 2019. But the 2001-2002 season and the 2002-2003 season, they made about $98 million both consistently that year. And then instantly, the year Michael Jordan left, it dipped down to $94 million. It's only $4 million. Okay, maybe not only $4 million, but
you have $4 million you want to share with me there, Crafty?
I wish. I think it'll be a similar thing with him. Whatever team he goes to, they'll sell above average ticket sales.
I think so too.
I mean, I'll buy a ticket. Shoot, I don't even like LeBron.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, you're a Celtics fan, so understandable.
I never have. All right, thank you all for watching. Whenever the Western Finals is announced, that's going to be Clippers-Lakers. Or maybe it'll be Lakers-Nuggets. Maybe it'll be Rockets-Nuggets, and we'll both be completely wrong over here.
It's going to be Lakers-Clippers.
It's probably going to be Lakers-Clippers. We'll have another one of these. We'll discuss what we think is going to happen there and how whichever one of those teams make the finals, they're going to lose to the Celtics.
Yeah, pretty much. Sure. We'll go with that.